Warning: the following broadcast features thoughts, ideas, and opinions you might find offensive. If you're easily angered, insulted, hurt, provoked, outraged, or annoyed, the following may offend you. The views expressed in this show are solely those of the individuals providing them and do not reflect the opinions of YouTube or Google. So please, don't flag this video.
The views expressed in this
Viewer
show
discretion
are
is advised.
Hello? Hi? Is this thing on?
So good.
What's up?
So good. Hi guys, how you going?
Hello. Welcome to
Thanks
Does
for-
This Offend You? Episode 14. Sorry if I keep looking off to the side. I'm just seeing the chat. I'm just anticipating something. Something always does, so I'm sure you guys will
Okay.
let me know. Kind of.
Yeah.
If it
Hey
does.
guys.
What's up?
Hey
What's
Chen.
up?
Hey Slops. Hey CJ. Hey Dan Breaker.
Hello.
Oh, mm.
This seems okay. Nobody's saying anything.
Oh, you know, people are saying stuff. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's so nice.
Wow, before
We haven't even started
Yeah.
screwing up yet.
I love it. Thank you.
Vicky sounds like the Predator.
What do you mean?
Shit. Are you sure it's not me and my voice?
Elaborate. I don't...
Yeah, please let us know if there's an issue.
Yeah.
Her voice is wobbly. Warbly. I mean, I'm hearing it normal.
Okay. What about now? Is it like echo, or I don't know what warbly means, so you guys might just have to deal with it.
Is it really scary?
Yeah.
What does the Predator sound like? I don't even know.
I don't even remember the last time I saw it.
Like she's underwater.
Oh. Okay.
New issue.
It may be.
Hey, Megan, by the way. Megan. Every time.
Every time, if I bring the mic closer, it was kind of far away.
I mean, I hear it not normal, though. That's the weird thing.
Yeah.
It's normal to me.
It sounds like I'm underwater. Okay.
Maybe she is. Don't judge.
You don't know my life?
Yeah, I'm still very sick, Megan. The glitch just typed. What?
That's from Unfriended.
Oh! Clever. What? It's your Australian internet. Well, Vicky's not in Australia, Bloodbath, and maybe it's your American internet, because she's the one streaming this.
Yeah. Maybe. What about now?
John just gave another $5.
What?
What it takes for Vicky to go there to a live stream and Airs Rock with you. I'm not sure if you're aware where Airs Rocks is, but it's nowhere near me. That's like saying, like, Florida is like where, I don't know, Vancouver is. It's not the same thing. I appreciate it, but it's not the same thing.
Oh, okay, I don't know. I mean, it's gonna
Secret.
don't take this the wrong way. It'll just take a lot more money for me to go there in the first place.
Well, Airs Rock is where you're gonna find the deadly creatures, so I haven't even been to Airs Rock.
Well, is it better or worse? Guys.
To me, you sound. I don't understand how that would happen, since you sound the same to me.
I don't know. I don't understand why there's ever
GoFundMe under.
Sounds the same.
Is it you're only using the one mic though?
Yeah.
Mm.
What about now? I mean, we go over this all the time, you guys. Like, I only ever have one mic on, I promise. Like,
So weird.
We've got headphones in. Much better? Better? Okay, cool.
Oh, cool. Yay. It fixed itself or you
I
fixed
don't
it?
know
I don't know.
why, but OBS decided to add 2 of my mics in there. It was the same source.
Oh, okay.
I
There
just
you go.
tried both of them, and for some reason, one of them works over the other. So I'll just remember that. I don't know why I have 2 mics.
Yay.
I only have one, but okay. Cool. Sweet. Hey, and it only took us like 9 minutes to solve this audio issue this time. So we're improving, you guys. We're improving.
Okay.
So today's
CJ
theme.
said you're a little bit quiet, but I think that's fine.
Oh, I think
CJ just said that you're a little bit quiet, but that's.
I can yell. I'll move the mic closer. It's probably just the distance. My keyboard was in the way, but I don't really need this, so
Cool.
I'll move it and I'll just be closer to the mic. If not, I can. I have a very loud voice. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, the theme is outcasts in horror. Outcasts
Yeah,
in horror.
problematic. What you want to call it,
Yeah.
isn't it? This whole thing's a little bit touchy.
Yeah, but you guys know what I mean. Kind of like, not the mainstream groups, I suppose, the minority groups or something. In horror. So we're going to talk about Freaks and American Mary. Which one do we want to start with?
First off, let's start with if you haven't gone on the poll yet, that's on Twitter. You probably have you retweeted it?
Yeah, I retweeted it.
Yeah.
Emma tweeted it.
So it's on both of our Twitters if you want to go and vote. I think let's start with Freaks because I think we've got a lot, and that's I don't know. It just makes more sense to talk about that and then how things are today.
That makes sense, yeah. Because this is like, we got like math and 80-year difference?
Oh, I was like, when you said math, I just clocked out.
Like, the difference between these two movies is insane. Like,
Yeah, definitely. Hey, Dino.
Hi, Dino. All right, so we'll start with Freaks. So it came out in 1932, you guys, like 1932, directed by Todd Browning. And it's about a trapeze artist in a traveling circus who agrees to marry the leader of the sideshow performers, but his friends discover that she is only marrying him for his inheritance. And that's mostly the...
Well, doesn't she? She doesn't really marry. Well, yeah, she's only marrying him for his money, but I mean, it's obviously a little bit more complicated than that when they actually give away. You know, when he's like, which it doesn't make any fucking sense because he's like gonna get married to this other chick, and then all of a sudden this other girl comes along and like says hi to him, and he's like, "I'm sorry, she is the one for me now." And then I thought when I watched it, I'd seen it before, but I thought that maybe she was tricking her when she first told her about the inheritance, and he didn't actually. I thought that would have been a cooler way for them to go, but no, it was a bit more straightforward. He was just telling him. I guess what we want to get into is like the fact that the film was meant to be over an hour and a half, and then got cut down to, which is an important fact, I think, because it was too much for people to handle as it was, which is so crazy when you see it, because it's not it's not bad at all. It's just very different.
From what I read, at least a lot of it was when the Freaks, they get their revenge on Hercules and Cleopatra, which are the two, I guess you would say, normal ones. I guess there was a scene where like they like castrated Hercules or something, and that was one of the.
Oh my god!
I know, like, seriously intense. Thank you, John.
Thanks, John. Just to say hi to Dino. I love that. Yeah, this movie is so interesting because I guess the only other thing that relates to it is American Horror Story season Freak Show, which has a lot of characters that are based on it. Has the twins, obviously Slitchy, which is like Pinhead. I don't know what they're called. Oh no, Pepper and Salt and Pepper. Isn't that what they're called?
I think, was there salt? I just remember pepper.
So maybe I'm just like Salt and Pepper. Sorry, I'm on a lot of drugs. I'm sick at the moment, if you guys can't tell. Pepper. What's the other one, though? There was another one. There was two anyway. They're all based on real people, but obviously in Freaks, there were actual real people who did work in circus throughout their lives. And I think that's a huge something that you have to go in knowing, because I can see where people find this offensive with how it deals with people who, sorry, people with disabilities and, people who are, are seen in this as like the freak sideshows. And I mean, the whole thing is called Freaks. But they did actually work in the circus, and the director did also. What did he ran away to work in the circus?
It was like, where did I write it down? Oh, and yeah, I found that like apparently the director Todd Browning left home at the age of 16 and worked a lot in a traveling circus and performed in like carnival sideshows and like vaudeville and stuff like that. So he had like he already kind of had like a connection to this sort of world, I guess, which inspired the story.
And so you have to kind of see it coming from that point of view, where it's not actually coming from an outside point of view, someone not knowing anything and thinking, oh, this will make a cool horror movie. It is salt. Slops, are you joking with me? I was like, pepper and salt. Yeah, so it's interesting coming from that way, because I know that obviously the reaction for this film was a lot of people who were disgusted by it.
Yeah.
But I think they were disgusted by it for different reasons than we would be disgusted by it today. Like today would be worried more about, how they represented the cast.
Yeah.
But back then, the crew was actually pretty like freaked out, which is awful to say. Yeah. But I did write down a quote from one of the. Sorry, guys. From the. Oh, here we go. It was from Basil Rangel. He was the editor. He said that he regretted ever taking the job, and the mere sight of them made you want to crawl up the walls, which is so awful. Disgusting. So awful. Yeah. Sorry, we have a lot to add on that.
You're okay. Yeah, I mean, and that was part of some of the, I guess, controversial points of the movie. I saw a lot of like conflicting like viewpoints on the experience too. I was like, some people were saying like, the set climate, I don't know, atmosphere of the set was like nice and everyone was great, and then others saying it was like a complete nightmare working on it and things like that. So that was like another kind of like controversial aspect. And I guess Hans and the woman that plays his girlfriend / fiance in the movie was his sister, actually.
Oh, what?
Like, yeah, and I like read that caused a little bit of discomfort, even though like Browning like promised to like tone down the like affectionate moments,
which they did. Yeah. But Jesus, that's a bit much.
Yeah. So it was like conflicting viewpoints, but that's awful. Like when I saw that you put that quote in, like from somebody who worked on there, I was like,
yeah.
And that was like the general feeling of like the audiences too. I think. When they saw it was just like abject horror at the freaks actually being on the stream. Thank you, Dino.
Just saying hi to John. I love this. You guys can just keep talking back through super chats. But yeah, there was many, and this is why I'm saying, like, I think today, especially for horror fans, we're definitely more sympathetic, or like, I don't know, we see it from the view, like I know that you would probably feel the exact same way when you watch it. You're watching it from the viewpoint of the freaks, their group, and how they feel. And I can't imagine going into this film, and if you guys have seen it and watching it from, Hercules and Cleopatra, they're awful people. Like they're just horrendous people, and you don't have any connection with them at all anyway. So I can't imagine going into that and thinking the other way. They said that the studio also made sure that the freaks, no one was like seen from that group when they were filming. They wanted to keep them very separated. And then I also found that I couldn't find the actual posters, but the film had all these different titles, there was a couple of them. There was Forbidden Love, Nature's Mistakes, which I think is really fucked up, The Monster Show, and then obviously they settled on Freaks. But in addition to those names, there were promo posters, and these are really bad. Some of them read, "Do Siamese twins make love?" One of them was what sex is the half man, half woman, which is one of the characters in there. And then the last one, which is the worst, is can a full grown woman truly love a midget? And these are posters that put up to promote the films.
Yeah.
So I think like this is a very rare case for Vicky and I, because we never come across films that themselves we didn't find offensive, but it's just like how it was made, and actually more of the subject matter that is offensive than the way it's represented, where normally it's like, oh, if they're going to do a rape this way, like I find that offensive because they're saying this about a woman or whatever. But this thing, it's just like the whole movie. I love this movie, like I really do. I rated it a 4 out of 5. I think it's an awesome movie.
Yeah.
It's a really old school like storyline of love and betrayal and revenge, but like everything surrounding it is so sad the way it happened. So it's very unusual for us, I think.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, Horrorcash Shane, I think it is. Some of you guys have different names on different platforms, so I'm sorry if I'm getting you wrong, but I try and remember who everyone is on different platforms. But yes, yeah, absolutely agree. And I saw, like, going off of like the marketing for this, like I feel like it was all just, I mean, it's like, I mean, it kind of fits with like the circus theme, I guess, all just for like shock and awe, because I guess the CEO or the man in charge at MGM at the time, Irving Thalberg, I guess like he wanted the movie made to outdo what Universal was doing at the time. So he like wanted to out horror stuff like Frankenstein, and he wanted to be like the horror movie superpower with this movie, which I think lends itself a little bit to like why they did the marketing the way they did for the movie too. Like they were trying to legitimately horrify their audience just to be like number one.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Dino saying that the movie was done in a way of not offending. The director loved these characters. Did you want to talk a bit about Todd's downfall?
Yeah, I mean, like,
Because that's interesting.
just because of the, like, what we were talking about, like, the reaction to the movie. I even read somewhere, although I could not find any other sources for this, that, like, one woman claimed, like, the movie caused her to suffer a miscarriage and stuff like that. This was, like, some of the stuff coming out of the audiences of this. I did not find another source for that, though, so don't. We may
No,
never
I read that somewhere too. Yeah.
but it basically, I mean, it basically cost Browning his career after that, unfortunately, because it was just so controversial, which sucks because, he was like coming off of doing stuff like Dracula, like for Universal, which was an amazing, groundbreaking film. But after that, his career was just shattered, which is so unfortunate because like now we understand, like Dino said, like we understand where he's coming from, which I think is so interesting. Like so much later on, we're able to see that, and audiences at the time weren't, like majority of people weren't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. And that was a huge point with watching it. I'm like, yeah, and I know that what they're saying is that the director loved the characters, but as we were saying before, there was a couple of people who said that they were mistreated. Some people said they didn't, so it's not really clear
Yeah.
how it was. And I don't know. It is hard. It's hard with this kind of stuff, like with horror representing people. Are they meant to be horrific, or is the storyline meant to be horrific?
Yeah.
And yeah, I did ages ago when I did that series. Wow, what was that series called? And I did The Real Faces of Horror, and I did Schlitz C. It was episode 1, and I hadn't really figured out the formula, but from there on, I went and did like murderers and stuff.
Yeah.
But that number 1, it was more about the face behind like a horror movie. So when I talked about them, it was never like meant to be like horrific. But I guess I got a lot of comments on that saying you like, this is so bad to say that they're the face of horror, but they're a face of a horror movie. So it's like one of those things where you're like, I don't know if it's considered a good or bad thing for them to be horrific. Sorry, dying a little bit here. Horrific in a horror movie. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think the movie just plays on. We'll let her cough. The movie just plays on like that. I don't know. I guess kind of like no matter how much we sympathize and empathize with the freaks in the movie, like the sideshow performers, there's still that kind of like, even if you're not disgusted, there's still that like surprise when you see them for the first time, because they, aren't, I guess, like normal by society standards. Like, what I'm trying to get at.
Mm.
And I think, like, I mean, we understand this now that the movie is playing off of that idea, like, where you think that they're going to be, like you said, like the faces of this horror movie, they're going to be the monstrosities, and there's that knee-jerk reaction there. But then what you're supposed to get out of it is that our normal performers, Cleopatra and Hercules, are actually the monsters
Yeah.
in the movie. Oh, shh. Almost knocked over my water. I could have just ended the whole stream.
No, I completely agree. It's a very touchy one. But I do love that movie, and I think it couldn't be redone today, which is very interesting. Like, could you imagine that movie coming out now? People would, it would, yeah. I don't know the reaction people would have over it.
Yeah, it would be. I think it would still be controversial, just for a different reason. Like you said, like we would focus more on the portrayal of the
Mm-hmm.
characters and how they're treated and how they're shown and things like that, as opposed to just being
Mm-hmm.
in shock that. Although I guess you could say, I guess American Horror Story kind of tried to
Yeah.
remake it a little bit, like.
Yeah, but they had a mixture of people who actually had like were people with disabilities and then people who were able-bodied. They
Right.
had a mix like of people acting like that, which again, you're like, dude, is that the right thing? Is that the wrong thing?
Yeah.
But being a TV show like that, I feel like there's more leeway.
Mm.
Having a movie come out at the cinemas, I feel like a lot of people would have jumped onto it.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
again, it's called American Horror Story, so like I don't know, they get away with a lot. But it's again that whole thing of if something is representing a real life murder or whatever, and we're profiting off that, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
And that's a whole nother like can of worms, I feel like, too. Like if Browning had chosen to do this movie with like able-bodied actors, like pretending to,
Hmm.
you know, be these freaks or whatever, like if that would have had like a totally different like
Yeah,
connotation in the movie or not. Like that's there's so
it would have been
many so
interesting.
many things with this movie. Like,
Yeah, and I think it's important as well as that they. I read somewhere where they would get really frustrated with some of them. I read that the director got really frustrated at some points and used to have nightmares about acting because the freaks in the film, they're not actually actors. They were, sideshow performers.
yeah.
So they didn't take direction that well. So it's just very interesting to think about how it all went down and how it was actually turned into a film.
Yeah. And the thing that sucks is we're probably not ever going to know now
Yeah.
how it actually was, which we can only speculate, and it's all a
Imagine.
bunch of shit we
Yeah.
can only just imagine.
Yeah, hearsay for sure.
Yeah.
It would be really interesting to see the full film though. I would love to see the full
I
film.
know. Yeah, it made me like when on your Instagram live, on Emma's Instagram live, somebody mentioned like wasn't it 90 minutes or something, and
Mm,
she kind of explained the cuts or something. From what I understood, it was lost, but it would be interesting to see like what they cut out of it. Like if I don't know if it had half as much as it said it was supposed to have, like the castration and stuff. Like
mm.
I think people would have
So is
been.
it just the revenge part?
I think, and I think some other parts were extended, like the sideshow performer, like a whole lot more of the sideshow performers doing like just like normal
True.
everyday stuff, I guess. So maybe just some bits were extended, and then at least from what I understand, a lot of it was the revenge in the end. I don't know. Somebody in the comments can.
Mm.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ooh.
My
Michael says that
cockroach
you
hit the
can't
mic.
hear. Oh no.
I don't
That's
know.
why
It's
she had
all
to
the
have
way
double
up.
mic. Yeah. It's so weird because I can hear you perfectly. It's got to be something on there.
I don't know, you guys. It's all the way up. Don't know
Okay,
what's
I'm
going
just
on.
gonna run through these. Da-da-da-da-da.
I'll just hold my mic.
But I think we've pretty much covered everything on Freaks.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you wanted to say about it?
everything. It's boosted all the way up. I promise.
Oh, now they're saying that I'm super loud. Guys, it's going through Vicky, so I'm not controlling anything.
I don't know. I can bring her down a little
can't.
bit, but
Okay, yeah,
mine's
try
all the
that.
way up, guys. So I'm sorry. I'll figure it out for next time. I'll just hold my mic right up to my mouth. Okay.
Okay.
Do we want to move on to American Mary?
First, I want to ask you: do you find freaks offensive?
Oh God, that's such a tough question. I mean, I can't say that I do, because I don't, I can't speak from experience on what these people go through, so it doesn't offend me, but I think it offends people for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's offensive in the storyline. I think the storyline is quite true to like what would happen to these kind of people and how they're like, treated. And I think that that's a good thing to bring that to light and doesn't show them in any negative way. So I'm not offended by it.
Yeah.
Can't say anything for the behind the scenes, but yeah.
Right, exactly, yeah. Much better, thank you. Okay. Okay, glad it's much better. Sorry, guys. I don't know.
What's going on?
I'm not an expert in anything. Okay.
Okay.
American
Shall we
Mary?
jump into American Mary? Something that I'm sure all of you guys have seen, hopefully.
Yeah, this one's a bit more recent. Came out in 2012, directed by Jen and Sylvia Soska, the Soska sisters, the Twisted Twins, whatever you want to call them. And it follows a medical student, Mary Mason, who falls into the world of underground surgeries and body modification after being raped by one of her professors. This movie has got a lot going on.
Yeah, yeah. You like American Mary, don't you?
Yes, I did I had a different opinion coming out of it this time, though, actually.
Okay, cool. Well, why don't you just jump straight into that, because I'd love to hear what you...
Yeah, okay. So I really liked it, like, the first couple times I watched it. Like, I mean, just, like, for the normal reasons. Like, it's got a lot of, empowering messages to it. But this time around, I thought it, like... I don't know. I just, for some reason, I wasn't that cool with Mary as a character anymore.
Ooh.
I don't know why. Like, just this, like, she's always been like this every time I watch the movie, but she's just like super like,
she never changed.
Yeah, she never changed, but she's just like super cold and unfeeling, even a little bit before the rape actually happens. And I feel like the rape just kind of exaggerates that, like, it, you know what I mean? Like, it's understandable after the fact, but beforehand she is also a little bit cold and unfeeling. And I felt like her motive, I don't know, I was trying to like pick out her motive a bit more this time around, because at first, when I first saw it, I felt very like she was trying to like help the body modification community. She really liked what she was doing, but it felt like this time she was more into like just the idea of being able to do these transformations, and she didn't really care that much about the body modification, if that makes sense. Like, she's just into like pushing herself into what she can do next. I don't know if any of that is making sense, but
no, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like, and I just felt like the feelings of the other characters, like Beatrice and Ruby Real Girl, like, they're very much hitting on the points that body modification is like an art form. It's a form of self-expression and transforming yourself the way you feel on the inside. And I feel like Mary is, I just felt like she was more conflicting to that this time around. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's weird. I actually really like that she's kind of like a hard ass, because I like the fact she's like is she talking to her nana when she's on the phone at the start?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I better go like sell my body to get some money. Like, she doesn't give a fuck. She's just like, she just does what she has to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she's a bit cold, and I get what you mean because she doesn't seem like she has a passion for the body modification.
Yeah.
And I guess if you want to relate it back to freaks, obviously it's such like a thing where they're the outcasts of society, and they're like, we're a group, one of us,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Where I'm gonna start singing in a minute. You don't want that. Where that she's kind of helping people get what they want,
Yeah.
but she's not really a part of that world either.
Yeah.
And I don't know how safe you would feel it's like getting tattooed from someone who doesn't have any tattoos. Like, it's weird.
Yeah, yeah.
You want to feel like that, we're different, and people look at us not really with tattoos, but like with body modification, people look at us sideways, but you have that connection, I guess.
Yeah.
And because she is she's very stereotypical, like beautiful, and she isn't afraid of her body. She like shows her body off, and she obviously doesn't have any issues.
Yeah.
Her performing those kind of surgeries for people who have like a lot of issues and could have different forms of like what body dysmorphia, pretty much, if they don't feel like they're in the right body. So yeah, I get what you're saying with that, because it definitely is a little bit like, well, the whole problem I have with the film, in a way, I really do like the movie, but the problem I have the film with, it just tries to like sex itself up, which is totally fine. And it's fine for the director's approach, but they're trying to like, let's put a strip club in there, let's make her like a really hot girl and does this. But it would have been cool and a little bit more grungy and a little bit more realistic if they came in from the side of someone who was very interested in it. And yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And that was like when I was like just skimming through some like reviews of the movie when it came out at the time, that was one criticism that I saw come up a lot, was the idea of Mary being, so sexualized in the movie, and they're like questioning like why she's doing these surgeries in like lingerie and stilettos and stuff
It
like
is
that.
very weird.
Like,
which, I mean, it's just the look and the feel of the film, and it's what the Twisted Twins, Twisted Sisters, Twisted Twins wanted to go with. So that makes sense. But the huge problem I had was the strip club. Like, it just was so badly such a stereotypical strip club.
Yeah.
The guy's getting head from like employees, and he has no regard for anyone in there. They're like killing people down in the basement, they're taking shots at the bar. It was just like so stereotypical and so unprofessional. And I feel like, yeah, of course those strip clubs are like that in the world, but it was just bizarre, and it was so weird. I always thought it was really weird when because the Twisted Twins, they're in the film.
Yeah.
When they go and meet her at the strip club, like, why could they not have gone to her house where she performs the surgeries?
Yeah, I know.
It's just like one of those other things that were put in there to like sex up the film, and of course it gives it a feeling and a vibe, but it just does. Yeah, it just is a bit weird when you watch it like the third or fourth time, and you're like, wait, why is this actually happening? This is a bit weird.
Yeah,
just for like the
there
aesthetic.
a whole lot of the movie, like it was like everything needed a purpose to go back to that that strip club for some reason.
Oh yeah, and that dude is just awful. Like, that falls in love with her, and
oh yeah, like
that whole thing.
That's such a weird what? Like, I feel like that's such a weird subplot in the movie. That
totally
whole,
agree.
Like, romance bit, and then the whole thing where she, again, like little bits this time where I just didn't understand Mary's motives a little bit, where she has that whole thing where when she walks in on the girl giving that guy head, and then she has a conversation with him, and then she stalks that girl in the bathroom and is like threatening her and saying like, it was like the wrong place, wrong time, wrong dick in your mouth or something like that. And I was just like,
it didn't make any sense. Yeah, because she had no compassion and was like pretty cold-hearted. So why would she care about that?
Yeah,
it was weird. The whole thing was weird.
I just don't understand. Like, does she like him? She shows no emotion, so I can't really tell. It's just I don't know why. It never bothered me before, but like this time I just happened to pick it out. Aw, thanks, Brock.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree.
Yeah,
it was very strange.
I'm just scrolling.
What else you got? Yeah, no, I'm like, what else you got? Because we write down notes, guys, but by the time we're actually talking to each other, we've normally like said them all. Because we just want to keep them edge. I do want to let's talk about the rape scene, because that's what we have to talk about in Does This Offend You?
Yeah.
It's very interesting. She needed to have something extreme happen to her to give up her old career and change her path and get this like revenge thing going on,
Yeah.
which is the quickest I've ever seen like a rape revenge film like turn, because like literally the instant happens, she goes home, and I watched this twice because I was like, did that really happen that fast? She walks into the house, she like pulls everything off the table,
Yeah.
and then she goes, do you want to make money? And then cut to, like, it was just the weirdest, quickest like turnaround that they had to. And I don't know if that was purposeful. They didn't want to make it like a big deal.
Yeah.
Like that's probably a good thing that they didn't want to make it. Oh my God, Chance.
Holy shit.
Thank you, Chance. Have you ever felt personally victimized by Regina George? Is that a joke between you two? Or is that...
What? Of all the things to put on a super chat.
Okay. I mean, I get the reference, but
oh my God,
are we
Chance.
talking about, because we're talking about her like that? I don't know. That's so nice. Thanks, Chance.
Like,
That's lovely.
I feel a bit shook right now. Like,
Yeah, that was really sweet.
oh my God. Okay, now we got to talk about rape. So.
Yeah, sorry. Back to it. Gee, he was just trying to get us to change this.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But yeah, I think this actual scene itself is extremely graphic and yeah, super realistic actually.
Yeah.
But I just watched and wanted to quote Mean Girls. It was so funny. But the bit that I wanted to talk to you about is, did you realize when she was walking through the party and like got taken into that side room? Sorry guys, I sound so bad right now. That there was a lady laying down on the bar and everyone was jerking off to her.
No.
It's in the background, and I never saw it any other time before until this time.
No.
So it's like, what are those guys doing? And there's a lady laying down. They're all like, it's weird. I can't believe I just did that on the internet. Idiot. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing.
Now we're all gonna go back and rewatch that just to find that. No, I didn't notice that at all. Like, I noticed this time, I noticed another girl in the background, but it definitely wasn't that, because that would have been like the forefront in my notes. Like, because
what did you notice?
it was just another girl that happened to be in the background. And I think like 2 or 3 guys were like talking to her or something. And it just seemed like when you notice it, you seem like, okay, that's why the girls are here, sort of thing. But no, I did not notice that at the bar. That's crazy.
Yeah, very strange.
Well, shit. So they're really trying to like throw it in your face, like in the background, like what's about
happening. Yeah,
and why she's there.
that was so weird. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about that because I hadn't.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, because I never noticed that before, and I don't know how many times I've seen this movie now. Never noticed it. Shit. Well, I guess I'm gonna go rewatch it again. Okay, hold on. I'll have to look at my notes again because I lost my train of thought after that.
You're right.
I was like, yeah.
Thank you so much, Chance. That was really nice of you.
I don't even know what to say. What was I going to say to that? I don't even remember. I don't remember. I'll come back to it. I mean, kind of on the flip side of that, though, we have like, I mean, everything about Mary is super over sexualized. And then we have Ruby, which ends up, you think is just like another catalyst to like get her into this world, but it ends up being Mary's downfall in the end. And which is especially interesting given the surgery that she does on Ruby. If you guys don't remember, or you haven't seen it, she basically wants to be Barbie, and like her whole like idea is that dolls are never I don't remember her exact
sexual
words.
objects.
Like, they're never like sexualized
like
or objectified because they're dolls and they don't have the parts that they do. So she wants her nipples removed, and she wants her vagina closed up as much as possible while still being functional, I suppose. I still can't wrap my head around. And can we just talk about the fact, I just have to mention, because this bugs me every time. How the fuck does Mary just like walk up into there? She has no idea what she's supposed to be doing. And Beatrice tells her right there on the spot, and then she's just like cool and just does it. I feel like, I'm sorry, but the whole vagina thing, that would take planning, right? Like
Yeah. No, you're completely right. Like I assume like reproductive surgery, I don't know, like I assume that's very niche. You wouldn't just be taught that in school, like off the bat.
That's like
she's
literally
sewing up turkeys one day, next day she's like
there's so much that needs to be taken into consideration. I'm just like, how the so she just does it. I guess she's just like this wonderkind of surgery or something. She just has all this
very true.
This knowledge. I don't know how the fuck that was supposed to be plausible, but anyways, the whole point of Ruby is that at the end of the movie, it comes back around that her husband, I think, her husband,
her boyfriend,
or boyfriend or something, gets, I guess, extremely pissed off at this and like brutalizes. I don't think we see him like brutalize Ruby at all, but he like beats up Beatrice to find Mary, and that ends up being her downfall at the end.
Yeah. And I wish that, like, oh, sorry guys, spoiler alert, but I liked at the end, because like throughout the whole film, she's kind of saving herself, like with her debt issues, with what happens to her with that guy. I mean, she gets help, but you know, at the end, she's kind of like going to like sew herself up or whatever.
Yeah.
And it would have been so cool if she actually saved herself, because that's kind of like what the whole thing was about.
Yeah.
But I guess in the end, like she couldn't even save herself. Like, yeah. And it is like it's such a weird movie when you think about it, like with the detective, and like she has so much like just going wrong the whole time.
Like I said, there's so much going on with this movie. Like there's so many like little, it's all Mary's story, but it like, I feel like if I think about it too hard, it seems like the more they all seem like disconnected, because there's like her doing the body modifications, her like getting revenge on her professor who is her rapist, and like keeping him like hostage and shit in his state, and then all of these other storylines like the weird romance thing and the Ruby storyline. And the more like, I feel like the more I think about the movie, the more it like seems disconnected.
Yeah. I really liked Ruby. I thought she was like the best character.
Yeah.
Oh, Beatrice. Sorry, Beatrice.
Okay, I was gonna say she's not.
Yeah. Because Beatrice, like I looked her up one time, after I watched it one time. You know that she doesn't look like that. She's just like a normal looking chick. And I'm like so sad. I was like, I really wanted her to be like that character. She was so cool. And I think like it would have been such a cool movie if they just like tended towards those people who aren't like the social norms and don't look like that, and made it more. Yeah. I guess it is American Mary's story, which I mean, sorry. I mean itself. The main actress, Catherine Isabel, she's Canadian. The film was shot in Canada. The film was shot in Canada.
The amount of times I almost do that is.
And the Twisted Twins are Canadian, so why it's called American Mary, we'll never fucking know. So that's bizarre by itself. But I wish that I know it's all about American Mary, but I wish that, as you said before, like they made it like a little bit more about that group, that society. Yeah. Would have been cool seeing her go to some parties where those kind of people were. Yeah. People who like were just like this, you know, not social norms, and like use plastic surgery to really I guess like identify themselves and express themselves. Yeah. But I put down in one of my notes that plastic surgery itself is actually quite taboo in a lot of places still. Like cosmetic surgery, because a lot of people can die from getting like a simple procedure. Yeah. And so a lot of people are totally against it. And, you know, that's like the whole thing about like people having fake tits and getting like even people getting Botox and stuff. It's like super frowned upon, and it's so crazy. Yeah. So it's really interesting seeing a movie like this where it's like the alternative, and it's not like if it's not like the normal beauty thing, like getting lip fillers or whatever, it's seen as like demonic almost, you know, like people try to like look like demons to get like horn implants and stuff.
Yeah.
But yet if it's something that's meant to be like to make someone look more like fertile or whatever, you know, like the big lips and, you know, younger and all that, then it's okay. It's very interesting. Surgery is so interesting, cosmetic surgery. I find it fascinating.
Yeah. No,
Um
100%. And I feel like Beatrice is kind of the only, like, really the only, like, voice for that message in the movie, where when you hear, like, the whole, like, summary of it being about body modification, you think it's going to be more about that group in a way, but she's kind of like the voice for it. She says at one point, and I wrote it down, it's something to the effect of, I'll find it after, when she's explaining it to Mary, like the whole idea of body modification, and like she asks, like, you know, is it fair that God gets to choose how we look on the
yeah.
outside despite what we feel on the inside, which can be, I feel like, can be applied to a lot of issues today too, with like you know, trans rights and things like that. But I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
she's
definitely.
like, yeah, really the voice for it. And then again, like Mary just seems like in it for a different reason, because when you see the clips of like, or the scenes of her, the clips, when you see the scenes of her, like running her business, so to speak, and she like basically like accosts this one guy for not picking an extreme enough modification or something. I can't remember what he, like, he's
Yeah,
thinking of
yeah.
getting
No, he
like,
wants to get some piercings. Yeah.
yeah. And she like
Yeah.
freaks out on him a little bit and like, do you think I do piercings in here, and like
Yeah,
kicks
yeah. And
him
she's like,
out
get
like
out. Like she's too good for that, but she probably doesn't have like a piercing on her body, so it's like it's very weird.
yeah, it is weird. Absolutely.
Hmm. Demented Pictures was saying that he never heard me swear, and I thought that was quite funny. Because I'm like, you obviously haven't seen a lot of my videos then. I've toned it down recently, but from Australia. Like, I try not to say the C word on daily on here. Like, it's just not a thing over here.
No, no. You'll
Oh
get some
God.
dirty, dirty looks if you say that over here.
Yeah.
People will get very offended.
Yeah. Then they will be offended.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, no, I totally agree. It's very interesting. The things that connect Freaks and American Mary is because they're kind of polar opposites. Because one is
Yeah.
about one of us and trying to get people into the group, and they're calling the, you know, the able-bodied person like, you're one of us.
Yeah.
And then American Mary, she's like, fuck everyone else.
Yeah.
And she's kind of by herself. But yet
Yeah.
the freaks and that, I don't know, use of a different word, but freaks and that kind of surround her because they need something from her, but she doesn't want anything to do with anyone, I guess.
Yeah. And she like it's
Very,
she's like held on a pedestal by them a bit
yeah.
too. Like they like make her a website, and she's like become super well known like in the underground community or whatever, and she could
Hmm.
just like not care less. She's just like on a little island by herself
Yeah.
doing her thing. And there's also the difference too with Freaks, that's not like, it's not voluntary, where in American Mary this is like
Yeah. It's
voluntary
not a
body
born with.
modification.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't born that way, but they want,
Yeah, they
that's how
chose
they
to be.
feel. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely.
which is super
Um,
interesting. And these movies are talked about a lot, or at least American Mary, like if you look at through some reviews, a lot of people do compare it to Freaks, I guess, and like the tone, and the word exploitation gets thrown a lot around a lot too, like with Freaks and American Mary, where I feel like,
mhm.
I don't know how you feel about it, I feel like Freaks airs a little bit more on the side of exploitation than American Mary does.
Yeah, no, no, I totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, which I thought was
Mm.
interesting. We picked a good pair this time, like.
So do you find American Mary offensive?
God damn, why is this question so hard to answer every single time we do this? I'm like, I know we're gonna answer this question, and no, it's harder for ones like this where it's like we're not really part of that community to an extent. Like tattoos do, I guess, classify as body modification to an extent that I know of, but you know, I just have my ears pierced and I have one tattoo, so I can't really relate in that way. So I guess no. I don't feel like the outcast group in American Mary is really exploited.
No,
But that's
me
just coming
either.
from somebody who's not part of it, so.
Oh yeah, I'm not. I think it's awesome. I really liked American Mary, and I really liked that subject matter
Yeah.
and talking about modification and all that kind of stuff, and talking about the underground. And I watch a lot of those kind of documentaries that show, you know, someone who really wants to be like a lizard person or whatever.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I love that kind of stuff. And I love that people can do that these days. So I don't find it offensive at all.
Yeah.
Just really interesting, and I wish that it dove more into that. And it was so different for when it came out. Everyone was like, "What the hell is this going to be about?"
Yeah.
So
That's true.
it'd be cool. They could still do number 2 and just have her like she survived, whatever. They could do it.
That's true. Yeah, we don't
They
see
could
any
totally
medical
do it.
reports, y'all. So you can make it.
You just believe it.
So let us know what you guys think in the chat. Do we want to check the poll?
Yeah, I'm on it. It's got
I'm interested.
71% freaks,
Ah.
29 American Mary, which I think is probably makes sense because people are
Yeah.
probably finding it for the way it's presented.
That's true. That's
It
true.
makes sense.
Yeah. It'd be
And
interesting to see what everyone thought if they came out around the same time,
yeah.
I think.
And sorry, Dole. Why am I saying Dole? Dan Breaker, I'm not sure if you're still in here. He's written, whose name's Joel. He's written on Twitter that freaks because of the way things were at the time and how disabled people or people who knew they were different were treated.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, I'm dying.
Okay. I feel like most people would probably agree with that. Like,
Yeah.
why, that's exactly why we find it offensive, not because of the actual, like, freaks. But yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. And that's what I voted, too. I voted.
Oh, you voted?
Like, right when you posted it, just because I wanted to see where it was, like, at the time. But yeah,
That's
if I
pretty
had to
good.
choose between the two.
Votes. Yeah. Cool. We got 56 votes, so that's pretty good.
Nice. Just
Ben.
Call Me Keebler said, I wonder if people find it more offensive because it's a woman, like American Mary, I'm assuming. Like, women are supposed to be prim and proper. They aren't supposed to kill / hurt people. I'm assuming we're talking about American Mary.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or maybe we're talking about freaks because isn't it her at the end?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Like, I just thought of that then. And Ben said, oh no, she did say American Mary. I don't know. I feel like in horror that's not really a thing anymore because there's so many like final girls and all that kind of stuff that no one really worries about that.
I think if this movie came out like a couple of decades prior, it would be crazy. Like, it would be like groundbreaking that it's like a woman doing these things, but not. No, I wouldn't say necessarily now because I feel like there's definitely been ones before this movie came out that
deal with that. Yeah, totally.
Also. Yeah.
No, completely agree.
Yeah, at least not from our points of view. I don't know about. I can't speak for everybody else, but.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And Ben was, what did Ben say? Ben said that was turning a chicken into a person considered a body modification.
Great point.
I guess technically.
That's like her Cleopatra being turned into the chicken or the duck or whatever, and the professor that Mary practices on are kind of very related characters. Involuntary body modification. There
you go. Yeah, same. There is a movie out that came out I think last year. It's called, or maybe this year, The Perfect Skin. I watched it a little while back. It's not very good,
okay.
but it's about a tattoo artist who captures a girl in London and like tattoos all over her whole body, and
Oh.
it just reminds me a lot of American Mary in a way.
Okay.
But she's not like a bad person. Like he's the bad, you know what I mean? Like where it's American Mary, it seemed like she's the good one and he's the bad one.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know, rights of our own bodies. America.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
It's very apropos we're talking about
yeah,
American
it is.
Mary right now.
Yeah, it is.
And
Very, very much.
that's all I guess we should say on it without getting too
Yeah, let's not get
too into that.
But thanks for coming, guys. Sorry, I'm like half dead at the moment. I have a cold. I'm just getting over it, but talking a lot is not helping me, unfortunately. But that was a really good one and something different to compare. It's really cool to compare modern and like old school horror.
Yeah.
So if you guys ever have any ideas, please tweet them to us, or you know, you can always like message us on Instagram or whatever. We're always up to hear them. We always list them down and then kind of pick as we get sooner to the date.
Yeah. Or if you just have a theme idea too,
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah,
say we're
themes.
pretty good at figuring out movies to fit the theme.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Absolutely. There you can see Yellow Stick. I'm not going to talk about Yellow Stick. I don't know what it is with you guys in the Yellow Stick. But yeah, thank you for joining us. For our patrons, if anybody is interested and you're not a patron of either one of us, I believe I put the links for those in the description also. All of Emma's social links is in the description also. So if you want to like keep up to date on when the next stream is, and for our patrons, we'll have a after the stream as we normally do. So if anybody's interested in that, if you support either me or Emma, you get a little after the show also. So so we'll see you guys in about a month's time.
yeah,
Hopefully.
for another one.
Until then, I don't know what. Stay offended. I don't know.
Thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Bye.
And we'll see you soon.